all right, guys. How y'all doing? Y'all already know who this is. This is More from Up Next TV, man. Follow me on Instagram at More. And today, man, we got somebody legendary parent up here, Miss Misha Wilson. And I want you to introduce yourself and tell them who the mother you is.
Hello, everybody. I am Misha Wilson. I am Speaker Knockerz mom, aka Derek McAllister Jr.
Yes,
I'm his
ma'am.
mom, and he
Yes.
will been 28 years old next month.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to get you on our platform because I was still in middle school when Speaker Knockerz was blowing up. I was a big fan of Speaker Knockerz, bro, and man, he was just like he left his mark on this earth for real, man. So I love you for having Speaker Knockerz.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to get into your life, So tell us a little bit about where you come from. How was it growing up for you?
I came from the Bronx, New York. I was born in Harlem, New York, and I was raised in the Bronx. After at the age of 8 years old, we moved to the Bronx, and we lived there up until I had Derek, and then we moved to another apartment over in the Bronx for about maybe 6 months, and then we moved to Jersey. So
what age was you when you had Speaker Knockerz, if you don't mind asking us that? If you don't mind asking. You was 20?
Yeah, I had just turned 20. We're a month apart. So my birthday is October 6th and his birthday is November 6th. So I had just turned 20 when I had him.
Okay, yes, ma'am. But do he have any siblings? Like how many kids do you have in all?
He has another brother. His brother is Christian, aka Lil Knock. He is 25 years old. I always used to tell Derek, aka Speaker Knockerz, that I wish I had a brother like him because he was like the best big brother I ever seen in my life. And he always looked after his brother, made sure he was okay. And Christian, he didn't really realize it because he was so used to having it. He didn't know what it was like not to have a brother like that. But, I'm glad that he was able to realize toward the end that really did have a good brother, and he really loved him and made sure that he was okay. Like sometimes he would go pick Christian up from school, and he would pick him up, and then he'd just be waiting for him to come out of school. And Tuesdays was the day that they would drop new games, and he would go to stop and pick up a game for him, whatever the new game came out, and he would just sit and wait for him and surprise him. When he came to the car, he would give him his game, and they'd go home and play for a little bit, and then he would go back to his house or whatever. But and then sometimes he would buy him whatever he went shopping. He would buy his brother outfit too, and he'll lay it out like from the hat to the shirt to the jeans to the sneakers, and have it laying on the bed. So when he came off the bus, if he didn't pick him up, he'd have it on the bed for him, so he'd be surprised and stuff. But he was just that kind of guy. Like he would make sure that you felt special on whatever day it was, especially like if it was your birthday or if he was doing something for himself, he'd make sure that he'd make you smile too. But he was very generous as far as that point. But once he got put out, he had to realize, he grew up real quick. But after that, he saw, that it was more to, life than just to be about himself or selfish. But he was very, 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 very good brother.
Yes, ma'am. And how far apart are they?
2 years, 9 months.
2 years and 9 months.
Yes. And they were very, very close.
Yes, man. I mean, was he just like that with his brother? He was like that with from what you know, was he like that just with his brother or with his homeboys and other family members too? Is just him and his brother, like it was just something about them?
It was just something about him and his brother. Like he's very giving to people, but I know for his brother, like that's the only relationship that I saw him doing that much for. But he took care of him like it was his own son. Like he was really, really a good brother to me.
Yes, yeah. And I want to ask him. I want to ask about you. Like, so, like, did he used to surprise you with things? Like, what's one thing that he surprised you with that you would never forget?
These pair of shoes he saw me looking at online, and I guess he must have been over my shoulder or something. But when my birthday came around, he bought me these. They were back then $300, like for a pair of shoes was like a lot, especially he was just making money. But I was really proud about that. He have it on his Instagram page. They're a nice pair of yellow snakeskin shoes he bought me. He saw that I really, really wanted them, and he bought them. I had them for my birthday. Oh my God, I was so happy. So I still have them now. but I don't wear them because they're a little tight, but I
Yes,
be
ma'am.
trying.
Yes, ma'am. I was going through his Instagram the other day. I had saw that he had actually text you on your birthday. He was like, I'm thankful for you. You the best mother ever. It was something like that. But I was going through it and I had saw it. I was like, bro, this guy's a dope kid.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He used to tell me that, and every time it's my birthday, I always look at that. So it's like it's sad that you got to remember that, And then my last birthday, he took me in 2013. He took me out to dinner, and we had a nice time. And that's on his page too. When it was two of us sitting at the dinner table, that's when he took me for my birthday to dinner.
Yes, man. And I see that you got out before we got on here, we was talking about the shirt. So they actually is speaking like a shirt. And I'm pulling up the picture of the shirt that he had that on.
Yes. To it. But I took those off because it's a little bit, smaller than I'd like it to be. But I just wanted to kind of put this on for the interview for everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So how did you? So with you, I want to get into a little bit more about your story too. So with you having speaking knockers, like how was you able to provide for speaking knockers now that like was you a working mom? Like how was your situation was in your relationship with speaking knockers?
Well, I've always had a job. I've been working since I was 10 years old.
Mm.
So I was able to provide for him because I had a job. I worked full time, and I was a young mom, but I wouldn't trade anything for it. And then I also had a boyfriend at the time, which is his dad, and he was very um, helpful. He was a great provider, and he always made sure that I was okay. And then he made sure, of course, that his children was okay too. So he made sure that we had a roof over our head, and he paid the bills.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So with you growing up, how was now I want to get a little into speaker knockers. What type of child was speaker knockers? With him growing up and all that type of things? Like, was he always the musical type, or he just kind of like, oh no?
No, he liked music, but he never really like did the beat thing until it was about maybe 14. He started playing around with it. But Derek, he was a sweet and a sweet child, good child, but then he also had another side. He was very, 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 very busy. So he just was very active. And I guess I was young myself, so I didn't
Mhm.
pay attention to his behavior and why he was doing those things that he was doing as far as being extra busy because he was bored. And though usually people who are geniuses, they do have a lot of problems with like keeping their attention on one thing, and they're just very, very busy because they're just trying to find a way or probably their
An
niche at the
outlet.
yeah, some way to take it out. So they just do different things until they find, what it is that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So you would say that he was always kind of active and busy. He was always doing this, that, and that. He was always had his feet into something.
Oh my God. Like if I had to have like if I would have known, like if I would have had to have more children, I probably wouldn't have unless I like had Christian first. Because
Mm.
Christian was like so easy, like until this day, he's not a problem. Like, I mean, I had no problems out of him whatsoever. But Derek, I had to go to school for him at least 4 times a week. Like every time I could look forward to a phone call every day as from his school. I calling on him because he was super bad in school.
Yes, man. What type of troubles did he get into? Like, when he was just. Do you feel like school wasn't for him, but he was just what type?
A lot of mouth. He had like he just was very like busy, and then he just got bored. Like he wanted to be a class clown because he was just sitting there. He would finish his work, and he just be just bored. Like, and he just want to be the class clown. He was a comedian. He was very funny, and then I guess the attention he was getting in the class when people would laugh, he just took advantage of that.
Yes, man. Yes, man. And I want to ask you about this lyric. It's called on the song called "Count Up." And it said, "When I was a youngin', Mama beat me with the belt every day. She asked what I'ma do with myself." Was it like? I want you to go a little bit to that. Like, name some truth about that. Like, what do you feel like he meant by that?
He meant exactly what he said. Like I would every day I ask him like, what do you want to do with yourself? Like you can't just be nothing. Like you have to, see what it is that you want to do. You have all this energy and you're doing things in school, you need to turn that into some productive energy. And so he would say, he would get spankings because he would be always in trouble. Like I didn't know what to do with him because I would punish him and take games that didn't work. So if you spank him, then that seemed to do the trick. And then I started but then that wore off, and then I had to like go back to taking his game and stuff like that away from him and punish him from going outside. So when he would be on punishment, that's when he started doing a computer and then finding his way around and trying to do music. So I guess it worked in a sense, because when every time he was on punishment, he couldn't watch TV. So he would just do beats on a computer. And then I will always ask him what he wanted to do with himself, because I'm very strict on them as far as like doing something. Like I didn't
Becoming
want,
successful.
yeah, I don't want, like, because his father and myself, like, we're very like strong-willed, and we always worked, or we always had like something going on for ourselves, and we just didn't like, just people just laying around and just thinking that because your parents have that, you're supposed to have too. So we wanted productive children. We didn't want to have children that we were enabling.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's
Mhm.
understandable. So I would ask you this: what was the worst thing that you would say that speaking Knockers did, like, they just sit you off to the curb, like that you almost like just wanted to? You won't wipe your hand with your child, but just be like, I don't know what to do at this point.
Oh, well, I think I was telling him, he was staying with me at the time, and I was sitting in, okay, so he would go in his room, and he always would keep a box of Q-tips in my room in the window, and that was his form of exercise. So I would put it in his closet, like in a closet in the bathroom, but he would take it out and put it back in my windowsill, because that was his way of coming in my room and having a little dialogue with me for a little bit when he would take
Mhm.
his break from his music, and then stand there for a little bit and talk with me. So he had came in the room this one day, and he would get his Q-tip and then stand in my doorway and just kind of twirl it in his ear while he was talking. And he said, Mom, he asked me a question or whatever. So I said, oh, yes, son. I said, I need you to start paying your own cell phone bill, because, you start making like way more money than me. So I
Off the
said, son,
music.
yeah. So I
Mhm.
said, I said, son, you need to start paying your phone bill. He said, phone bill? I'm not paying no phone bill. And he just got like really out of hand. And he got like, I still blacked out, because I couldn't believe like how disrespectful he had gotten. And I don't know what happened, but that when he sang in Lonely that he got thrown out, I really did. I threw him out. And if I
Yes,
had a
ma'am.
chance today, I wouldn't have changed it. I would have put him out again today, because I don't tolerate disrespect. And so from then, he just like grew up real fast, and he got his own place and everything like that. So we made amends a couple months after that, but I had to. You can't do that. Like some of the things that he said, it just was
Yes,
like off the chain, because he started smelling and stuff.
yes, ma'am. I mean, how old was he at the time? Like when all of this, like when he got to get the money, he started smelling himself. He was like, and he disrespected you. You put him out. How old was he at the time?
I think he was about 17 turning. He was about almost 18 or almost turning 18.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to ask you this. So, and I know as a mother, that was pretty hard for you to, put your child out. But you taught Melissa. So when you put him out, like, was you thinking about it? Was y'all still talking, or y'all relationship was kind of like?
Yeah, we didn't talk at first for a couple months, because I had to stand for something, but I don't feel like I did anything wrong,
No,
because
you
like
didn't.
he was, whoa, like it was, some things, like the way he was going off, like, I said, oh no, I don't deserve that. I said, you have to go. And when I come back, you better be gone. And he was gone.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. That's what a lot of these kids need today.
Yeah,
Hard parenting like you.
they do. And sometimes it's very frustrating being around parents of today, because they allow their children to do so many things that it's like they have no standards at all, no boundaries. And these kids are just do whatever they want, and they're not learning anything by them letting them get away with everything. It's just bad, because they have to learn from somewhere, and it shouldn't be in jail or from the outside. It needs to start at home. But I guess I'm old fashioned, but I'll remain that way. If I had to raise my kids the same way that I did before, I would do it, because I have two successful children.
Hmm.
And my son is deceased, and he's still
Yeah, he's
doing
still. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to talk to you about that. At what point did you realize that Speaker Knockers had something going on? Like, was you taking it serious at first? Because a lot of people don't, like, when a lot of people see that their children doing something, they don't seem to be like, they kind of rub it off until it start getting big. Like, at what point did you realize, like, hold up, he got something going on?
Well, it was almost toward the end, but I didn't really realize it until toward the end. But I did speak to him a couple months before he passed,
Hmm.
and he would always stop by. and get something to eat. And so I would, because I cook for my children, and I didn't let them like eat fast food. If they did it by choice. But he would eat more fast food than his brother. His brother liked more so home cooked meals. So when he would be passing by in the area, I would always like, for some reason I knew he was coming by, and I would just text him, say, "You in the area, son?" And he'd say, "Yeah." I said, "I have a plate for you." He's like, "All right." He said, "You got an extra plate?" So he always had this friend that was with him that I never met, but he always asked for his friend to get some food too. So anyway, when he came inside, and then he used to have to park in the back of the house because people in the neighborhood, they was like real jealous and stuff. And so I had to have him like park back there for his safety so they wouldn't know that he was there. So he would just come through the back, and then he would get his food and then leave like that. So anyway, he came in the kitchen this one day, and I said, "Son," I said, you need to have a plan A, B, and C, because this music thing sometimes it's up and down and everything, and I just
Yeah.
don't need to have something to fall back on." So he smirked and he looked at me. He said, "Ma, you just don't get it." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't need a plan B or C because my A is gonna work. You watch. You just watch and see." He said, "I believe in me, and I know I got something good." And then after that, what else could I say? So he kind of taught me a lesson. It's like, you have to believe in yourself. You don't always need a B and C, which that's the way we were taught, because you never know. But if you have faith and you believe in what you're doing, and you know that this is what God has you to do, it's going to be okay. So you can't be all over the place. So when he said that, that taught me a lesson too, because I only was telling him what I was taught, and it doesn't always mean that that was the right thing.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because I recently saw your Facebook page. You posted that you actually have your own food truck, and you actually got it running, or go into a little bit about that.
Yes, I have my own store or storefront. I've had that for 8.5 years. And I have a dessert trailer also that their father bought for me brand new in 2018 or 29, I think it's 2018. And then I bought my own dessert truck fully loaded April of this year. So I have the like, it's like a small fleet that
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have. So that one is based in Charlotte, the truck, and then the trailer we have it sometimes to different events in Columbia. And my Columbia store is open Tuesday through Saturday, and we do well in all three locations.
And would you say they was inspired by Speaker Knockers? Like, was you? Do you think you would have did that over time, or do you feel like they kind of push you to want to do it more?
No, I honestly didn't want to make a business out of it. I was just doing the cake just to supplement my income and to make it easier for them, because we were used to a certain lifestyle, and their father went to prison. We were in New York probably let's see, 2001, and we moved to South Carolina in 2002, and I moved for a better life. So when I got to South Carolina, it was okay, but it was a little different as far as income than what I was used to. So I had to try to find something that was honest, and we didn't have a lot of help. So I just had to do what I had to do to provide for my children. I wasn't the needy type or to be asking people to do this or that for me. So I just had to do what I had to do. When I started making the cake just to make ends meet. But like I said, I didn't want a business out of it. It just grew to be that.
Yes, ma'am. That's powerful.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to get into about a little bit about the death of Speaker Knockers.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, he passed away, unfortunately. He was just at his peak. He was just getting ready. He was already there, but he didn't blow how he's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get into a little bit into like you personally. What do you remember the days before his death? Like, was y'all conversing, text, and keep going a little bit into that?
Yeah, I remember a couple of days before. I know that we talked about different things that he was supposed to be doing, and then I know I saved him from. He had a girlfriend at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he said before, like right before this happened, before he called me, he always used to say like certain things. And I told him, I said, "Son, you may have more money than me, you may have more than me." I said, "But you don't have the wisdom that I have. You're always going to need your mom. So never forget that." And so he always had this saying, "Mom, fix it." So anything that happens, like I know wherever he is in heaven or wherever he is, I know he's screaming, "Mom, fix it." because he always thinks that like that made me feel good too, because he thought I was this hero that no matter what happened, I could turn it around. So anything that happened with him, he always calls me, Mom, fix it. Mom, fix it. And I'm like a spoiled brat, but normally I was able to, but this I could do nothing about. But I was just saying that he called me and he was hysterical. So I said, son, what's wrong? What's wrong? He said, Mom, I need you. I need you to, come and help me like that. So I was like, what's wrong? He was like, he had a situation with his girlfriend and she had taken his jacket or something like that or whatever. And he went and took something of hers, her phone, and then he took it and then he hid it. So I said, son, you can't but he didn't tell me the part about the jacket yet. So I said, son, you need to go get that girl, go give her phone back. He said, but you don't understand. You don't understand. And he explained to me whatever happened. And then I went and met him. And then we went and got the phone. And then I went and gave it to her parents. And then that was it. Mm-hmm. So that was the last time that I actually saw him. And then a couple days after that, he went missing.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to go to that because I saw you the one that had made a post and you let the world know that he was missing. So what made you become curious about he was missing? Like, was you calling him? He wasn't answering the phone, or was it like, how did they go about?
Well, I noticed a mother's intuition, and like probably with your mom knows certain things before you even say it. Like it's something that we feel.
Yeah, man. My mama know when something wrong because my mom, she know when something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm. So it's just something I just felt off, and I have a great connection with God, and so in a relationship. So I kind of pray and I pay attention to behaviors, and so I noticed that something was off, and so I called and he wasn't answering the phone, and then it kept going to voicemail, and then I got a little alarmed, and then he had a meeting, and my son is very responsible, and so when he missed his meeting, I knew that something was wrong. So I called the police and they said we had to wait a certain amount of time because you can't report anything that fast. So I sat there for a minute. I sat up because it's like I was asleep, and I just jumped up out of my sleep and sat up in the bed. And that's when I started praying. And then, like I said, I called the police and they said there's nothing they could do right now. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like enough, because I know my son and he doesn't miss money and he sure doesn't miss meetings. Like he doesn't give his word and not keep it. And so I'm like, for him not to miss the meeting and to miss his studio time, that's not him. So I just started, I was in the middle of the night and I was just driving around and going to different places and ditches and all kind of stuff to see if maybe I could find him, or if he was somewhere, or maybe he crashed, or I don't know. I'm not saying that he used to drink or anything like that, but I just didn't know what, so I just was looking around for him. And then I just came back and he wasn't there. I couldn't find him. So then I came back and I went to sleep, and then I woke back up early, a couple hours later, and I'm like, look, you got to do something. And then that's when they began their search.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to ask you this, like, as a parent, like, what was going through your mind at the time? Like, was you still trying to blow his phone? Well, of course, I know you're still trying to blow his phone up, but like, what was going through your mind at this time?
I just was just thinking the worst. I'm like, what could happen? Like, did somebody kidnap him or what? Because there was a time where I came home from selling cake on a Saturday and my window was broken. Somebody in the neighborhood or somewhere took a brick and they broke my window, and then they got on Twitter and was bragging about it. So when that point, when he was away, I think you ever seen that video where he was in Chicago and he was real hype in the audience? And I mean, the real hype when he was doing that show. And he had just came home and he came and he looked and he was like, he couldn't believe it. So he, of course, he got it fixed for me and everything. But that's when I knew that it was time for me to move.
Yes, ma'am. So you did. So you've been out there community and neighborhood that was causing y'all trouble.
Yeah, I left there, and I left there 2014.
Yes, ma'am. And so to get back on the subject about how did you find out about it? So what made you? Of course, I've read up on the article and things like that. So what made you go to his house that he was at, that y'all actually found him in? Like, what made you check there? Did you find it or the police found it? Like, how did they come about?
Well, that part I don't really want to discuss at this
Okay.
time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let me ask you this for the fans out there. I just want to ask you this, and you don't want to reveal like what really happened to him and all that.
Not just yet. I will one day, but just not now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. feel comfortable right now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's understandable.
Hmm.
And let me ask you this: so when about around his death and all that type of things, how did the community in his city react to it?
Well, the community and the city reacted to it like they were really like, I guess, saddened by it, I guess. But to be honest, they didn't really receive him or respect his gift until after he passed away. So it's like he put them on the map
Mhm.
and he, made a way for South Carolina. And so for him to pass away and then get the respect that he's getting now, I mean, I'm grateful for it, but I think that he should have been here to see it. It shouldn't be after.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know this. This is just my honest opinion. Like he started a trend with the voice thing, with certain type of beats. Like he don't get the credit that he deserves, and people like overlooked it. This is how I feel though.
Right. And the sayings like matter nah, and
Mm,
the things that he said, that people say the same thing, and like you said, the music and the tunes and stuff that they do. But some of the artists, they do give him his respect, and they give him shout outs every now and Kevin Gates and stuff, and a couple other Drakes. They do, but it's like other people, like people in the city and stuff. But for the most part, they do give him his respect to me.
yes,
Hmm.
ma'am. And have any major artists ever reached out to you?
No, no.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So let me
Mhm.
ask you. So let me ask you this to get ready to wrap things up. Like, what's one thing that you feel like this speaker Knockerz accomplished? Like, like out of everything, what makes you smile? Even though this is still sad, what one thing that make you smile? Be like, I'm glad that he did that.
Um, I'm glad that he followed his dream and he believed in himself because he started his business with $40. He didn't
Mm,
do what the normal teen would have done and just took the money and just burned it, and bought a pair of shoes or bought a shirt or something like that. He took it and just bought his first thing, which was speakers. And
mm,
then after he bought the speakers, then he was able to make more money and just kept reinvesting in himself and making more money instead of buying materialistic things. He invested in his craft. And so I was proud of him and I'm still proud of him because he was able to show people that determination pays off and that, he just kept doing and believing in himself. And he just didn't take no for an answer. And so when people didn't want to give him a record deal or give him any type of acknowledgement, he just went out there and made a way for himself and he signed himself and he didn't need those people.
mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
He did it on.
And I had a question too. This is my personal question
Mm-hmm.
about his music and things like that. Like when he's screaming on YouTube and you see all the views going up, like is the money that he make off his music, is that going to the label? Like how does that work?
I don't handle that.
Do you know? Well, you don't handle it, but do you know who handle it?
His father does everything. He does a wonderful job. He's super smart and he knows the business and he just really is like the spearhead of everything. Like he has everything under wraps. And I'm so grateful for him because I don't have a clue, about those things, but he does a wonderful job at, leading everything and making sure that everything is in place and everything is done properly in the right way and in order so that, everything can continue and flow
Yes,
easily.
yes, ma'am. And do you? I want to ask you about that. His relationship with his father. Do you feel like that's what he would want people this closest to him to be in charge of his stuff?
Yes, yeah. But he
Yes,
saw it. Saw it before he passed. His father would go on tour with him and go to different places and cities and stuff like that. So they were doing that before he left. So he knew that his father had his back.
yes, ma'am. And what was his relationship like with his father?
Very close. They got really close when his father came home from prison. So, he was gone a while, but he jumped right in and he helped them. And, even when he was in prison, he would listen on the phone and listen to certain things. If he had a problem with, he would help him through it, on the time that he had on the phone and he would call back on his, whatever time he could call back and he would help him out. But yeah, he's a good dude.
Yes, ma'am. And how long was Speaker Knocker's father in jail during his life?
12 years.
12 years. Like, do you feel like, I want to ask you this, do you feel like this, they kind of made him angry a little bit, or he understood what was going on?
Well, at first when we used to go for visits, we used to tell him that he was in a hospital. And so
Mm,
for a long time, we thought that he still believed that, but Derek is super smart. So he would, all of a sudden, I used to notice that he would be watching jail programs and stuff. And so then after we got a little bit older, he said, Mom, y'all thought I was stupid. I knew he was in, he was like, I knew he was in jail, but we didn't want him to know that, because we didn't know how long he was going to be there. So we just told him that at first, just so he wouldn't, worry or anything like that. But he already knew that he was in prison, but we just say he was in the hospital.
mm. So, can you tell them where they can find you at on Instagram, Facebook, and if they want to check out your business, can you tell them where they can find you at on there?
They can find me at Mama Knockerz on Instagram,
Mhm.
and also Misha Sinful Cake without the S on Instagram. And then on Facebook, I have a cake page that's called Misha Sinful Cakes on Facebook.
All right,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Y'all make sure y'all go check her out. And man, I just wanna thank you for coming on Up Next TV. Giving me a chance to speak of one of my favorite artists, his mother, and I just thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you, and thank you so much for having me. It was
Yes,
a
ma'am.
pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, and I want to ask you this: how do y'all celebrate him now? Like around his birthday, even like, do y'all just get together? Do you and your family get together now and listen to his music and just remember him out there? Like, how does that go about?
We do, and we always have a balloon release for him, and we get a number of his different colors that he liked, which is the red, white, and blue. And we would take and we would, say a prayer over him and then let him go in the sky. But we'll have them at the store. I usually take and put balloons on the outside of my store, excuse
Hmm.
me, inside. And then like that night or maybe a couple days later, it just depends on how we feeling and getting over them that day. But if we're okay, we usually let them go that night. If we want to hold on to them a couple of days, when we feel that they're getting like kind of deflated, we'll take and let them go so that they could go in the air. We just watch them and pray as they go in the air.
Mm. Yes,
hmm
ma'am. Yes,
But I just
ma'am.
yeah, I just, people say, how do you like speak about it so easily, and how do you get through and make it and not fall apart? And, some people get depressed and they give up and everything like that. And I just tell them that I have a great relationship with God and I always pray. And I know like the selfish part of me wants him to be here forever. But realistically, I know that we all have a day,
Yes,
that we
ma'am.
and there's a dash that's in between the beginning and the end of our life, and we have to be productive and do something with what that dash is in between. So I believe that he served his purpose,
Yeah, he
and
did.
we all have to do that. And so being that he did that, his time here on earth is up. So, and then God never said that we was going to be here forever. He just gave us a beginning and an end, and an in between where we supposed to do something with that dash. So he did something with his dash, and I'm just, I know God is telling him, job well done. And I'm just proud of him for, living out his dream. Like he lived his life. He had a great life. He enjoyed himself. He traveled. He did what he wanted. He was able to buy the things that he wanted. He was able to do the things he wanted. He touched a lot of people's lives. Like he touched over a billion people. And that's
Mm,
a lot, for somebody who's not signed. Like I'm really proud of him for being able to motivate people and inspire people to follow their dreams. And you can't give up. You have to be determined and you have to have that formula. Like people say, oh, time has changed. No, yeah, time has changed, but the strategy has not. The strategy, yeah, the strategy's changed, but not the formula, I should say.
yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Man, yes, ma'am. This is powerful, man. And like
Yeah.
I said once again, I just want to thank you for coming on my platform and giving me the opportunity to interview you and you speak out on about his life.
hmm It's my pleasure. I enjoyed this session and I enjoyed you and you were great. Thank you for asking us, to come